All right. Well, welcome everyone to our workshop. Today we're going to have a team known as Alpha Genesis present. They're a pretty old team, I believe, based on the numbers, probably about 8 years. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves and go over what they have for their presentation. Feel free to ask them questions at the end, and then they can give you more info about themselves if you want to contact them later. And so I'm going to turn off my camera and let them begin.
Okay, hi, I'm Michelle, and I'm on the Alpha Genesis team.
Hi, I'm Max.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
And then today we're going to be mainly talking about outreach and like the things that we've learned over time with our team and like what works for our team and what doesn't. So starting with like business outreach, the first thing that we kind of wanted to do was build a brand or make something that's unique to our team. So like for a couple of years now, like our team color has been this like dark burgundy color. And we made this logo last year, and since our team is like Star Wars based, it kind of has like elements that look like from the Star Wars movies. And so that way it's like unique to our team. And when we give it out to like other teams, or we give it out to businesses and stuff like that, they recognize that that's our team, and that's like, and they can relate that logo to us. And so once we have like that logo and that color and everything that's just like unique to us, we put them on like business cards, stickers, and pins. And we bring these business cards, stickers, and pins to competitions, outreaches, and like basically everywhere we go, just in case we like meet someone there that has like connections to a sponsorship, then we can just give them our card and it has all of our information on it. And we don't have like all of our social media on it, but just the ones that we're mostly active on. So like our Instagram, our website, and our email, which we like check pretty often. And then we also have our address. And so all these things we put on that card so that if people ever need to contact us, we have like it right there. And so we always bring the cards around. And the next tip we recommend is to look for sponsorships that are available for first teams. So like some teams or some companies sponsor like FIRST in general. And so they know how, like what FIRST Robotics is. And that allows you to have like an edge, I guess, compared to like trying to get a sponsorship from a company that doesn't really know what FIRST is. And so some of the ones that we normally go for are GoBuilda, Arconics, Actobotics, Rev, and SolidWorks. And sometimes they don't always give you like money. So SolidWorks gives you like a couple programs that you can use that normally cost money, but they'll distribute like, I think it was 10 or a couple 10, I think, and they'll like let you guys basically use that program for free for like a year, I think, and then you have to like renew it afterwards. And then like Arconics, I know they gave money because last year we got an Arconic grant, but then some other like companies will give you like tools or parts. And we also look for businesses to outreach to, and that gives us like, we understand how those businesses work, so it's easier for us to get a sponsorship from them. So like after school programs such as Kumon and Mathnasium, those are pretty popular after school programs. And since they're sort of related to STEM or like related to the education field, I guess, it's easier for them to like, it's easier for you to form a connection with them because they have that same interest of like learning in STEM and stuff like that. And so like we outreach to those, or like we reach out to those to try to get sponsorships. And we also look for local businesses that are nearby our area, such as the Literacy Guild, which is one that we got last year. Basically it's a writing class. It's like a writing company, and it basically teaches you how to write. And they have a lot of different programs like teaching you how to like understand text better, literature, and also like they have programs where you can actually like write a novel with them, and they'll like help you through that process. And so like that was that was a company that was local to us, and then we formed that connection with them, and they were able to give us like some money, and we let them have like a booth in a lot of our outreaches, like with one of our FLL outreaches. We let them have a booth there, and they were able to just display their writing on their like at the outreach. And we also go to hardware stores, so like the Home Depot and Lowe's. And the Home Depot and Lowe's, they don't normally give out like money, but sometimes they can give like wood parts or like wood, or let you or like help you use their machinery. so that like if your team doesn't have all the necessary machinery to like fabricate something, they can help you out sometimes if you form that connection with them. And since they're a hardware store, you're more likely to find like things that you need there. So that's why we normally go to like Lowe's and Home Depot, which are like the main ones that we go to. And also parents businesses are one of the best ways to get a sponsorship from. A couple years back, we had a member whose parent worked at Honda, and she did a matching grant with Honda, and I think we were able to get around $10,000 from Honda that we invested into our team. But she graduated recently, so we have like other parents businesses. So like CX Racing is our members one of our members' parents' businesses, and they were able to donate parts to us, which was really helpful. And since you already have that connection between the parent and like the team, it's easier to get a sponsorship from them. And also doesn't always have to be engineering based or like parts based. So for example, hand creation is like my mom works at hand creation, and basically she like printed banners for us out. So something that our team has is like we have these banners and we put them on like stands, and it looks like really professional because it's like a laminated banner rather than just like a trifold. And so when we bring that around, it looks a lot more professional. And since like I know my mom, we were able to get it for free, and that way it looks like we look like more put together, and that like banner thing is recognized by our team. And like we've been to competitions where people ask around like, oh hey, where did you get that banner from? And then we like obviously tell them about this company, so that way they're more likely to buy from here, and also like more people can have like the banners. And another thing we do is we give incentives. So the amount of money that a company donates, we give them something back, so that way they want to donate more. So here's like our breakdown that we have. So from $50 to $100, we call that a bronze sponsor, and we give them a logo sponsor board. So we have a board where we put a whole bunch of logos on there, and we also put them on our website. And $101 to $200 is a silver sponsor. You get everything from the bronze sponsor, and then a logo on our FLL tournament book. And our FLL tournament book is one of our biggest, or used to be one of our biggest outreaches. We couldn't do it this year because of social distancing reasons, but like that used to be one of our biggest outreaches because a lot of the teams, since it was a qualifier, or last year we had it on a qualifier, a lot of teams came because our schools, there's a lot of teams nearby our school, and so they came, and every team got a tournament book. And so if you were a silver sponsor, your company was advertised on that tournament book. And then from $201 to $500, you get all of the above from before, and a sticker and logo on our robot, which we bring to every competition and every outreach. $501 to $1,000 is a platinum sponsor, and you get everything from above, sticker and logo on our team banner. And we bring those team banners when we go to our school, when we have school outreaches, we put that banner on our, like on the gate in front of our school. And we also bring that banner to competitions. And then over $1,000 is the diamond sponsor, and you get everything that's above, as well as a logo on our shirt for the next year, because we can't put it on the shirt from this year. So we'll put it on the shirt from next year, and we wear our shirts to competitions, outreaches, and everything, so that our team is recognized as Alpha Genesis. And another tip we recommend is to maintain good business relationships. So once you get a sponsorship or once you get a grant, it's important to continue talking with that company, so that way you're more likely to get that or get another sponsorship or grant from them the year after. So we like to write emails and update them, basically, like not every month, but we update them like every so often, telling them how we did or like what we're planning to do for the season, any upcoming outreaches we're planning, any awards that we've accomplished. So if we had like a competition and we like earned an award, we'll like update them on that. How their company helped our team. So like what we use their money for, like, oh, we use your money to buy parts for our robot, which in turn built this, and it was a really like we used your money well, so they know that it's not going to like a random cause. And then we also put a picture of our team and a picture of our robot, and that creates like a more personal touch. And that way they'll want to support you next season, and continue. And by building that relationship, you can like continue having them support you throughout the years. And do you guys have any questions or comments right now? I think we can just move on for now.
Now I'm going to talk about engineering outreach. So, alumni. One important part of engineering outreach are your alumni. You can outreach to previous members of the team who are probably now in either college or the workforce. You can keep in touch with them through online platforms such as email or other social media services. These are two of our alumni that we keep in contact with. Keeping in contact with alumni are important because they can always help you with any aspect of your team since they have previous experience being on the team. For example, last season, Alex on the left helped us decide which of our mechanisms were most effective during our brainstorming phase. So that helped us a lot with the mechanisms that we decided to put on a robot. So in summary, alumni can give you experienced advice because they have faced the same problems that you may be facing. STEM-related companies. So another important part of engineering outreach is connecting with STEM-related companies. By doing so, you can connect with their various professionals. One easy way to get in contact with such people are through LinkedIn. Through LinkedIn, you can also get their email and have more personal contact. Of course, you can use other platforms of communication, but we found LinkedIn to be one of the most useful. Some companies we keep in touch with are JPL and Lockheed Martin. Interaction with professionals. So one part of reaching out to these STEM-related companies is to, as I mentioned prior, interact with their professionals. Through connections you've made, you can get professional advice or insight by your team. We provided steps to do so. So one, explain the task or the problem you're facing, then present your design or program, whatever it may be that you want advice for, then chart down that knowledge or advice given, then try to incorporate it into your engineering design process. So on the right, we have Dennis Y. He's a software engineer at JPL that we keep in touch with via email. I want to add that one of the easiest ways to get in touch with such professionals is if your team is old enough, then chances are some of your alumni are in a STEM-related workforce. Then you can have that direct connection with those people. Tours of companies. So the second part of reaching out to these STEM-related companies is to look for tours of these companies. So if companies are in a close enough distance, then you can get a real-life tour of their facilities and laboratories, with the exception of right now due to COVID. But because of COVID, a lot more virtual tours of these companies are opening up to many people, sometimes without the need for any connections. But usually, you can gain access to such tours virtually and in real life through connections you've made by reaching out to these companies. So on the left, we have two pictures of our tour from Northrop Grumman, and then on the right, we have our pictures from our tour of JPL. Finally, we have meeting people at outreaches. Um, One easy way to do this is to participate in STEM fairs as it will count as an outreach for your team, as well as provide you with people of similar interests in STEM which you can connect with. The simplest way of keeping in contact with such people are by obviously exchanging contact info. The way to do this, and many other professionals do this also, is to have a business card. This allows you to easily provide them with info such as social media, location, email, and website if you have one. But during these times of COVID, such events aren't happening right now, so it becomes harder to find and introduce yourself to such people in real life. But similar to virtual tours of companies opening up, there are greater opportunities online to participate in and find such groups of people. Any questions or concerns regarding engineering outreach? If not, we can move on.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to do online outreach. Although the pandemic has limited the amount of ways we can do outreach, online outreach is still a very effective and manageable method of connecting with your community and spreading awareness about robotics and the things we do. Firstly, let's talk about the different options we have for outreach. Our team, Alpha Genesis 6436, has currently been teaching different STEM related activities online. This can be done through different mediums such as the infamous Zoom, a Google Meeting, or other online meeting sites. Topics that our outreach team has covered so far include CADing, programming, and STEM related careers. Other topics we plan to discuss include science-based experiments, build, and possibly even hold a panel of expert Q&A sessions. Another outreach channel that I am in charge of is making educational YouTube videos. Every team should have some presence on YouTube because a lot of people nowadays use YouTube as their primary search engine or their primary source of information. Your YouTube channel should be seen primarily as an avenue for branding, reputation, and authority. To help your content go viral, you should regularly be creating new content for your channel. You should also utilize other social media platforms to promote your channel and build a large audience base. The YouTube video library that I am currently building consists mainly of tutorials on CADing and 3D printing. There are a lot of websites and softwares that can be used to teach STEM and robotics related subjects. For example, as you can see on the Google slide, I use Fusion 360, Onshape, and Inventor for teaching CADing. For programming, people use Hour of Code, Code Academy, BitDegree, or PyCharm to teach. The most important part of a video is its content. However, a well-edited video will either make or break a video. Video editing is where all the content you have created come together in a meaningful way. A well-edited project should be crisp and flow with great precision. All the creative decisions you have made from pre-production through post-production shine through after it has all been edited down to its final form. Video editing is a lengthy process on its own and requires a great attention to detail. On the slide, you can see some tools that can help you with your video editing. You can record your high-def videos with most of the modern cell phones on the market. And there are professional grade softwares from Adobe that most students can use free of charge. For example, After Effects, Premiere Pro, Animate, and Photoshop are the softwares that are provided to students. There are also free video editing softwares such as Microsoft Movie Maker 10, DaVinci Resolve 16, and many others. Websites that are useful for adding visual effects include Canva, which is a website that is useful for adding transitional slides to your video. Screencast-O-Matic, a good screen capturing program. Free Music Archive, which can be used to find background music or sound effects. And YouTube, for sharing your video or getting ideas. One of the best ways to get your video out is through social media outreach, which is largely based on relationship building. When your video is on YouTube, it is important to build relationships with people in the niches you're targeting. If your video targets STEM audiences, contact prominent STEM social media groups, bloggers, or other experts in the niche. Start building relationships with these people and share your video with them. These people can then share your video on their social media site with their followers. The art of outreach and link building is a subtle one, so make sure you know your audience well. For the popular social media platforms I have listed, I'm pretty sure you all know them, so I won't go in depth about them. You cannot have a successful outreach without first identifying your target audience. You must ask yourself these questions first. Will you be creating the content for your existing audience in hopes of increasing your impact on the community? Are you reaching out to new people for your team? When you identify your target audience and create a sphere of influence, your chances of increasing your outreach exponentially grows. Don't be afraid to tweak your target audience strategy as you become accustomed to outreaching via online. You may find that you are reaching people you initially did not plan for. The following are examples of potential audiences you should be targeting: people who are in the robotics team, students in the STEM program, parents of students in the STEM program, parents and students in the primary school, professionals in the related field, companies and industries, potential donors, and anyone who shows interest. Thank you for listening. This is the end of my section. And if anyone has any questions, please type it in the chat. On this slide, you'll see the links that will lead to our social media websites. Please look at them when you have time.
Okay, so that's basically the end of our presentation. We wanted to save some time at the end for questions. So if you have any questions, I guess you can just type it in the chat.
Mm. So what do you guys think has been the most challenging during COVID?
Probably coming up with like how to meet up or like how to organize like these outreaches without, because a lot of people have different schedules and obviously not everyone can be online at the same time. So it's kind of hard to come up with a schedule that works for everybody.
So I have another question because I know you guys are kind of like a legacy team. So how have you guys recruited new members in the sense of, you guys probably are not the founders of the original Alpha Genesis. So then how did it get passed down to you guys? And then what is um your like thoughts of how to keep your team alive, or are you just gonna fold it? Yeah.
Okay, so before, like in the beginning of Alpha Genesis, there weren't that many people that were interested in robotics just because they didn't really know what it was. And so it was hard to try to recruit people like in the earlier stages. But then as we like moved along, our team gained a lot of success and recognition from our school. And so one thing I would recommend if you're trying to recruit more people is to have your school kind of advertise for you, especially for your school related team. And then eventually we had a lot more people start trying out. So like I think my year when I tried out, there was like 20 or 30 people that tried out. And our tryout process, or for that year, was we had a part where they learned how to build a robot and get familiar with like the parts that we used and the tools that we used. And after that, we had a portion. So we covered like every single portion. So outreach, we actually had to like look for companies that we can do business outreaches to. And then for build, we had to build a robot. And for the interview or like the presentation part, we had interviews with like everyone had an interview and they asked you like really basic questions, but they also asked you questions that kind of threw you off guard just to see how you would react in a situation where the question was kind of weird or random. So like one of the questions that I got was like, if you were in a blender, where would you hide? And so like questions like that kind of throw you off. And so if they see like if a judge asks you a question that maybe you aren't expecting, they see how you react to that. And so that they know how well you are at presenting and answering questions. And so that's how our tryout process went. And then from there we cut it down. And there were no like try it like cuts or like first cuts, second cuts. We just had like a tryout process where everyone was cut. And then for the online portion, since we didn't have like the same materials, we couldn't do building with everyone. We took out the build portion and instead we replaced it with a journal portion. And we asked them to, we used an old game from one of the years before, and we asked them to try to design a robot and write a journal about that robot. And then we also did interviews online, and that's how we did it.
Oh, so you guys are a team that has like a tryout process. It's not like everyone joins and here's your team. It's
Uh,
whoever whoever shows up.
yeah, because well, at first I think they did that. I'm not really sure how they did it before, but then we got like a lot of people start trying out, and so yeah. Do you have any tips on outreaching or like that your team learned?
So I guess back in the day, it was a lot different of how FTC was. If people don't know, I competed 2011 to 2015. So a lot of things are different. There was different criterias for awards. Like Motivate Award was not the outreach award. Motivate was basically team spirit and the coolest costumes. So once that got merged, that got switched with Connect. Connect was a different type of award as well. So then people are still very confused by them. But there's a difference about what it is. So with Connect, it's basically people get very confused that Connect is more how do you connect with the STEM industry and like STEM professionals, and then Motivate is more how do you spread first. So with Connect, I think it's good. How everyone's reaching out to go beyond that. I think it's what people like to see is when it's not just your parents or not just, your relatives or people you're aware. It's that extra effort to find strangers. Granted, that's very hard, but I think it's also, I've heard, a lot easier because of Zoom and the power of everyone's kind of at home for the most part. And it's a lot less trying to get someone to talk to you. And then to go even beyond that is, did you actually learn something from them and attribute that to your own team? So like if you, not they gave you like the here's how to build this for this, to win the game. It's more if they analyzed your design and you took it back and were like, oh, maybe we should change this, and that whole iteration process I think is good. And I think that, outreach, a lot of people do cold calling, a lot of people do, they do Lego events, they do, some are connected to FRC teams, some are connected to their school. We have some schools that, have 6 teams, so that's hard to differentiate yourself if your whole school is doing stuff like open houses, um, you know job fair type stuff. It's very hard to differentiate yourself, so it's kind of like, how do you make yourself different enough, but you also want to help your own fellow teammates and teams? I don't know your guys' situation anymore of what teams are at your school. I don't remember anymore. But yeah, I would say outreach and motivate. It just you kind of it outreach in general is very broad, and then if you go deeper, you can kind of start splitting it. Someone has a question. Quarantine is a difficult time for most FTC teams. What are something that your team do to stay resilient in terms of achieving your outreach and engineering goals?
Okay, so like actually this year we kind of like fell off track a little bit. Like we had difficulty trying to stay on the same page. And so for like the engineering portion and the building portion, the way that we're doing it this year is like since we're a school team sort of, and so we have to follow school rules, and part of the rules are that we can't have multiple people meet up in the same area, even if you're wearing like mask and you're practicing social distancing. So the way we did it was and we also could not go to the school. Like our school wouldn't let us use the robotics room that we would normally have there. So we basically brought all of our parts to a person's house, and at their house, um, we set up the field and everything, and we also used the same base of the robot as before. We used the same mechanism just because we didn't think that we would have time to create another like drivetrain. And so that's like one thing that we did to save some time. But basically, we would have one person. So we had three main builders. Max is one of our main builders. And then we have two more. One of the people live at the house, so that's like easier on them. And I think every day, but we've like strayed away from going every day. But we used to go like every day. There would be one person that went inside and basically started building. And the thing with that is, like, if you don't have a good connection, like if the three of them aren't constantly talking about what they completed on the robot or what they have planned, it's hard to stay on track and to like maintain the same or to maintain like be on the same page and know what's going on. So Max, do you want to talk about like how you, Ben, and Nathan managed to like stay in touch and keep a good pace? Max? Okay, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Wait, what?
Can you talk about how you, Ben, and Nathan stay on the same page and like organize yourself so you don't have like a huge mess when working with a robot?
Yeah, I think it's the same for outreach and programming, but we use a Discord, and then we have usually weekly meetings where we meet up and discuss what we're doing on the robot and what we plan to do in the future. So, for example, if I change the intake, right, then Ben and Nathan can plan on what they're gonna do when they go build on the robot next time, so then we can be more productive.
Okay, and then answering that person's question like more directly, I guess, one thing that we do to stay encouraged and to just like continue wanting to work hard is because we all have that goal. Like we've all known from the start that we wanted to do well and to be successful. So like none of us really need to be like, oh, we should continue working harder because I'm pretty sure like our entire team knows that like we all have this like goal that we want to reach and we'll like do a lot of things to reach that goal. Like we're one of those diehard teams that will like stay really late or work really hard um just to complete like whatever we need to do. And so there was never really a problem where we were not motivated, I guess. There were just times where we had trouble organizing ourselves so that we could actually accomplish that goal.
Yeah, I think that's hard because there's different teams, where everyone gets on the team just because they need people. And, just based off of odds, you probably are going to have three people that really love robotics, and you're going to have, a couple people that don't really care. Then there's going to be a couple people that do it for college apps. And I think that whole mix sometimes gets really frustrating from people. So I think a benefit for your team that everyone has to apply and like actually want to do it, and like you can screen people. So I think that's I don't know. My team was, hey, whoever showed up, yeah, you're on the team. Good for you.
Yeah, like we had trouble with that like a couple years ago where like some people or like another thing is if you so we have different subgroups like the outreach subgroup, the build subgroup, the programming subgroup. And if you have people that don't really like the subgroup they're in, so like someone who wants to build but is only doing outreach or only doing journal, then it's hard for them to stay motivated, which is why we let those people pick what subgroup they want to do. But to control the amount of people that are in the subgroup, we ask them prior to like we ask them during tryouts what subgroup they want to be in. So that way we can like organize it so we don't have like 10 people in build and no one doing outreach. And so that's like one thing that we managed to do.
Yeah, that's pretty different than a lot of the other teams that I am aware of their like organizational structure. Because I know some teams do it kind of like you guys, where it's kind of like a mini business, essentially what it is. You have like a head, and then you have subgroups, and then collectively all you're supposed to communicate together. But I think some people it works, some people it doesn't. I have no clue what the right way is because I've seen every group imaginable win awards or do well, so couldn't tell you what works. But you guys have a big team this year, a smaller team? I know you guys usually have like 10 to 15, I think is what you
Yeah,
guys
we
usually
have
have.
11 this year.
Okay, yeah. So I guess on the smaller end, you can have a team of two. That was That was a. If you guys know who Lockdown is, that was their start, was two people. So um, then
And sometimes those team of two are actually really good. They have like a really good system going on.
oh yeah, the probably the most well-known team is Schrodinger's Hat. If anyone knows them, Inspire World winners have. I think they should posted it. They just retired, but I think they had 14 gold banners. So, pretty crazy that two people pretty much did that. But yeah, I don't think size matters. I think though with bigger teams, it is hard to give everyone a task because you run out of stuff to do. Um, that's pretty good. Did anyone else have any questions, or do you guys want tips or advice, anything from them or from me or anyone else here that might want to share in some information? Okay. So I think we're gonna end it then. Hopefully, if you guys know about our scrimmages that LAFTC is doing, I very much encourage you to do them because it's basically just getting used to how to submit scores, and how to do that because of the remote thing. You don't have to do video though. You just literally have to submit your numbers and your scores. That's all it is. It's just practice. You could get 0, 0, 0, 0, and I would say just still do it just to practice uploading to make sure that when it is your qualifier that you know it doesn't mess up and you have no scores, and then you're like, what is this? I highly suggest practicing judging over Zoom as well for teams because that's going to be a new thing and that's pretty hard for most people. And they're going to be longer this year. I think they're going to be between 20 to 30 minutes. So that's a lot to talk about and a lot to be on Zoom for. So, but anyway, have a very happy holidays. I hope everyone stays safe. And do you guys have any closing words?
I don't think so. Just stay safe, I guess, and take a break if you need to.
I know, and hopefully next year we'll all be back to normal league meets and seeing each other in person. So, all right, goodbye everyone.
Hi, thank you.